What an insane, wild, crazy, unbelievable divisional round weekend we just had in the National Football League. Going to start with the game last night, the Rams winning in overtime in Chicago against the Bears. Listen, there's a lot to like about the Rams. They're really discombobulated, but boy, are they lucky to have the MVP of the league in Matthew Stafford. Talk about that. Why the Chicago Bears had the best playoff loss that I've seen in my life watching football. Talk about that. Why the Buffalo Bills, I'm not sure they're ever going to win a Super Bowl with Josh Allen. I'm dead serious when I say that. And spare me the complaints on the officiating. Talk about them. Bo Nix, God bless them. The Broncos are done without him. Talk about that. Also gets the Patriots' dominant win over Houston in the snow, in the crappy weather. Seattle Seahawks look like the best team in football right now. Johnny Vagianos, he is the host of the JV show. Really, really good stuff. Highly recommend his content. He'll be joining me in the top of the second hour right here on Carving Up to talk about his Bills, firing Sean McDermott if Josh Allen can get it done in the playoffs, and a whole host of other topics around the National Football League. At the end of today's show, predictions for tonight's national championship game between the Miami Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers. Who takes home the college football natty? So Carving Up Live on a Monday, a divisional round reaction Monday, is absolutely loaded. So let's drop the beat, baby. Here we go. Everybody, and welcome to Carving It Up Live right here on YouTube, as well as on Facebook, on Twitch, on X, and on Instagram. I am Bryson Carver. It is fantastic to be with you on a football Tuesday or Monday night reaction show to what was an insane divisional round. We had a crazy classic back and forth between Buffalo and Denver. We had one laugher in Seattle. Of course, we'll get to all four games that you heard there in the promo. The game in New England where feels like who wants to lose the game less between the Patriots and the Texans, which went back and forth. Obviously discussed that. The amazing game, which we saw last night, going to lead the show with it, with the Rams and the Bears. I have big takes, big takeaways from both sides in that game, the winning Rams and the losing Bears. Again, Johnny Vagianos, if you've not checked out his content on social media, on Instagram, YouTube, great stuff. Great guy. Was on his show, his reaction to the Pittsburgh Steelers playoff loss on Monday, which I think he uploaded on Tuesday, I guess. He's going to be joining. He's a big Bills fan. He's going to be joining to react to the Sean McDermott news, to Josh Allen not getting done the playoffs, the Bo Nix news, who his Super Bowl favorite is with 4 teams left in the dance. So very excited. Jam-packed episode of Carving Up Live. Oh, and by the way, the college football national championship games tonight, I know it's gotten kind of buried under what's been an insane NFL playoffs, but very excited to see that between Miami and Indiana tonight. But first, there is a lot to like. There's a lot to love about the Los Angeles Rams. Well, let's see. They've got maybe the best coach in the league in Sean McVay. They've got a guy in Puka Nacua who, despite his doofus nature off the field, might be the best receiver in the game. Great router, great hands, physicality, the whole bit. Can run every route in the route tree. Oh, and by the way, your number 2 receiver is one of the most respected, consistent veteran players in Devontae Adams. And you've got excellent tight end play in Parkinson. Kyron Williams ran the football, had a couple, of touchdowns in this game. Defensively, you got not one excellent pass rusher, but 2, Jared Verse and Byron Young. But there are moments, and I've been on this all season long, there are moments for this Rams team that kind of leave you scratch your head. Wait a second, how do you blow a 3-score lead in the second half against Philadelphia back in week 3? Two block kicks in the fourth quarter. How does that happen? You lose a game to the 49ers when all of their starters are out and Mac Jones goes crazy on you. You lose to Atlanta. You lose a game to Seattle in which you had a 16-point lead and blew that game. You lost on the road to Carolina, almost lost again to the Carolina Panthers. It's a very talented team. It is also a strange team. It is also a team that has kind of struggled in these big clutch moments this season. They've kind of been, as you saw at points last night, the anti-Bears. Bears have been the best team in football in the last 5 minutes of games. The Rams, not quite. Boy, are they lucky to have Matthew Stafford. You're talking about a guy in this particular play. Listen, I don't want to hear anymore. Is that Matt Stafford Hall of Famer? Listen, some of these former veteran quarterbacks, God bless them, the Dan Orlovskis of the world. I think I heard Carson Palmer talk about, hey, Matt Stafford with a Super Bowl MVP might be top 10 of all time. Let's slow down on that. I'm not willing to go there. He's indisputably a Hall of Famer. Because now that the first time he got to be with a well-run franchise, won a Super Bowl immediately, probably going to win MVP this year, and is a win away from another Super Bowl appearance. And you look at the stats, you're like, completion percentage isn't great. No touchdowns and not fantastic. Not numbers are going to jump off the box score. First of all, it was snowing. I don't know if you saw the game last night. The conditions were less than ideal, both in Chicago and in New England yesterday. You're talking about Stafford, who is dealing with what I thought was a weird game plan. And I love Sean McVay. I think as highly of Sean McVay as any coach in the National Football League. Bro, you are facing the 28th ranked defense in terms of stopping the run. And it's snowing. Run the foot. They can't stop Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams had a huge game, over 100 yards, from scrimmage. Give him the football. And they said, he insists. He's like, no, we're going to throw the ball constantly. We're going to live and die by Stafford. Love Stafford. Have a balanced game plan. Attack where they're weak, especially when the conditions are less than ideal. Like if the game was at SoFi, maybe I feel a little bit differently. But despite all the chaos, all the defense once again letting the Rams down. Last week it was against Carolina, giving up the game or the go-ahead drive to Bryce Young and the Panthers. This week, Caleb Williams, who we'll get to in a few minutes, has the play of the playoffs to Cole Kmet. Defense collapses in that spot too. Yeah, they got the interception off Caleb at the end. That was more a mistake by DJ Moore than anything. But give the ball to number 9, and everyone can take a deep breath. He's got it. Matt Stafford's always been one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the league, even going back to his days in Detroit. He was always, the numbers bared out, he's one of the better, comeback quarterbacks in the National Football League. Big time arm. Even though he's in year 17, he can still sling it. He still moves relatively well. He's still deadly accurate in the red zone. If anything, maybe the game plan by Sean McVay wasn't a poor game plan. It was just a testament to how much he believes in Stafford. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But this is a guy who, again, with respect to Drake May, who hasn't had a great playoffs. We'll talk about him later. Drake had an unbelievable season. This is a guy who is truly putting the roster on his back. Not in the sense of, oh gosh, it's a bunch of has-beens, bunch of, as the great Bill Parcells would say, Jags, just a guy. Roster's got some unbelievable talent on both sides of the ball. But they just have these moments. I just list the games against Philly, San Francisco, Carolina, Atlanta, the Seattle Seahawks, the game that decided the 1 seed, basically. Where it's just, you kind of left scratch your head. How did they lose that game? I feel like they were the better team for 75, 80% of this football game. And so to give the ball to your quarterback in that situation, they're lucky to have Matthew Stafford. And it goes to show you, man, sometimes, even if you've got it good, if you have an opportunity to get better, take that. The Golden State Warriors won 73 games in 16, lost by the skin of their teeth in finals. Could have easily run it back. No one would have knocked the Warriors for doing that. But all year prior to that, Kevin Durant, the most gifted scorer in the league currently, he's kind of interested in coming here. Maybe we should recruit him. So they went from outstanding to literally unbeatable when they were healthy. In the case of the Rams, Jared Goff's a very good quarterback. Very, in some cases, can prove to be elite if he has time to throw in the pocket. But it's also, okay, when there's pressure up the middle, when there's pressure anyway, we saw him in that playoff game against the Washington Commanders. The arm strength isn't special. He certainly can't, make all the throws from the pocket that Matthew Stafford can. There's not the trust between coach and quarterback that there is now with McVay Stafford. They said we believe in this, the overall talent upside of this guy in Detroit, who that franchise wasted away for 12 years. We believe we can bring him here to win us a championship. And he did, and he might win another one, despite the flaws of this roster. I'll be honest. We'll talk about Seattle later. My guts tell me Seahawks in this game. Obviously, the Rams beat them earlier this year in Los Angeles by 2, despite 5 Darnold picks. They lost to the Seahawks despite having a 16-point fourth quarter lead. Seattle's got an extra day of prep. That defense just flies all over the field. Chicago's not special. I thought Dennis Allen had a great game plan yesterday against the Rams. Stafford saved their bacon. He truly, truly did. All those third down conversions, the throw to Devontae Adams. I mean, the throw by Caleb in the fourth quarter was excellent. That was the second best throw of the playoffs right there. With Stafford moving in, finding Devontae Adams, who was able to get both feet down on the sideline. That's the kind of stuff that makes legends. It truly, truly is. So, listen, even if the Rams go down next week, Stafford's a Hall of Famer. Right? He's a Hall of Famer. There's no question about it. Top 10 ever. Slow down on that. But just an unbelievably special performance from him. And this was him after the game talking to Melissa Stark about the Rams advancing despite a less than perfect offensive performance.
Yeah, it's just playoff football. They did a hell of a job making a home field advantage. Like I said, we got a lot of things that we can be better at, but we stuck together as a team, found a way to win a game on the road in some tough conditions, and made the plays when we needed to make them. And that's what it's all about. You'd love to come in here and throw for 450 and 4 touchdowns and do all that, but hey, find a way to win the game, survive in advance, and we did it, and we'll be ready to go next week.
I mean, they really did. And like, that's what the playoffs are about. Sometimes you win some ugly games. Like, we think about that Green Bay Packers run in 2010. They go on the road and beat Philadelphia in a game. I'm not sure they were underdogs in that game, but that was the Towns team with Vic and Deshaun Jackson, Shady McCoy, and those guys. Beat them. Go to Atlanta and absolutely bludgeon the Falcons. Aaron Rodgers had one of the best playoff games we've ever seen in that spot. They go to Chicago at Soldier Field. That was the Caleb Haney game, and Aaron was terrible, but they won. But the defense showed up, and then Aaron balled out in the Super Bowl. Like, sometimes we hear the saying all the time, complimentary football, but it's a real thing. For teams as talented as the Rams, it's just kind of, let's get a win and let's scratch and claw our way to a W and move on next week, and we'll worry about our issues then. But unbelievable game for the Rams. My guy Patrick Brown, he's in the comments. He says the Rams traveling and playing sub-zero temperatures, frigid cold Soldier Field without Stafford, LA would be lost. There's no question. And, again, this is an organization. This is a franchise that kind of a little bit similar to Philadelphia. In this Philadelphia, they got their franchise quarterback in a different way. They got him through the draft and developed him. But it was we probably have our guy, and we think we have our guy, Goff, Carson Wentz. We still feel like we can do better. We feel like we're kind of underachieving with the roster that we've got. We like our coach. Let's take a swing for the fences. And it's obviously worked out in a major way in Stafford. Does he go down as the best Rams quarterback ever? Even over, God bless him, the great Kurt Warner. Kurt didn't have that long of a career with Los Angeles. Stafford wins another Super Bowl. He's by definition the best quarterback in the history of the LA Rams. Got a few comments here about the Bills game. How did Allen fold? The last pick was not his fault. Receiver failed to secure the catch and let the ball be taken away. He threw it. Would have been a touchdown pass at the end of regulation. Kincaid failed to make the catch, dropped it. That would have won the game. He made mistakes, but he also gave him a chance to win. Other players failed to secure the ball for the win. I will get to, just hang in there, because I will get to Josh Allen in about, I'd say, 10 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes or so. Let me shift to Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. You hear it all the time. I say it all the time on this show. No such thing as a bad win. Rams showed you that last night. Patriots showed it to you yesterday. Sometimes it looks a little ugly in the playoffs if the weather is less than ideal. No such thing as a bad win. There is such thing as a good loss. There's rarely such thing as a good loss in the playoffs, because usually the whole argument for a good loss is, hey, maybe we're a team that's on the come up. We believe in what we have, and we face one of the big dogs, one of the established teams in our league. And we might have lost. We hung around with them. They beat us on like a game-winning field goal or something, but we hung in there with them, blow for blow. They just got the last one. So we feel good about ourselves moving forward. Should we match up against them again? That was the case with the Giants back at the end of 2007. Remember, they played the undefeated Patriots, hung in there with them. Patriots won. Giants went on to beat them in the Super Bowl. The playoffs, yeah, you lose, you're done. Like this, next game's going to be played 9 months from now, or 8 months from now in the case of the Bears. That was a good playoff loss for the Chicago Bears. If you're a Chicago fan, and I've said it all season long, but I think last night kind of sealed it. If you're a Bears fan, you've been starved for great quarterback play for years, but not only starved for great quarterback play, but starved of assurance that if we lose, we don't have to be like, God, quarterback blew it for us again. I mean, we just, the defense is awesome, and the quarterback just could not get it done. There's too many limitations there. We like our roster, and those Urlacher teams, but you had Rex Grossman. It's like, those teams with obviously Urlacher and Hester and Peanut Tillman and Jay Cutler. He's really talented, but I'm not sure how much he really cares about football. There's always a question at quarterback. Yeah, there's questions no more in Chicago. Because if you look, and this is why you got to watch the game and not just look at box score, because look at the box score for Caleb Williams. It's like, not amazing. Couple touchdown passes, 3 picks, 54% completion, 297 total yards, pretty good. 59 rating, that's not. A 72 QBR, that's actually quite good, which, as you say, as the reason I show QBR all the time on the show is QBR is labeled after the fact. Like you get the experts at ESPN that kind of watch the game up and down, seeing what throws maybe should have been picked off, were picked off that shouldn't have been. Quarterback uses legs. They take your rushing yards into account. They take all of your entire context of your performance into account, and that's what you get your QBR, 0 to 100. Caleb got a 72, which is quite good. I got to see what the Chicago Bears do in the offseason. I'm not going to make any sweeping predictions because we're still in the middle of this season. I'm not making predictions for next season. If they address the defense, which I'm sure they will, I'm sure, they'll go hard defense in the draft. Almost all their picks will be on that side of the ball because offensively, they're fine. The great O-line, running game, weapons. If they address that defense, And if Caleb, as he talked about after the game with the media, or I guess today in his exit interviews with the media, I've got to improve on accuracy, which he does. We've said that all year on this show. If those two things happen, I'm not so sure I'm not going to pick the Chicago Bears to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl next year. Because Caleb isn't accurate. That's correct. He's a mid-50% completion guy. But if you can't see everything else that this guy brings to the table, that folks, you cannot teach. The viral throw on fourth down to send the game to overtime, I can think of 2 quarterbacks in the history of the game of football that can make that throw. Aaron Rodgers in his prime, which to me, the greatest throw of it, that might be the second greatest throw I've ever seen what Caleb did last night. The greatest throw I've ever seen was the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary against Arizona where he's like falling off his back, but it's a sick throw. Aaron could make that throw in his prime, and Mahomes can make that throw. That's it. Like where if they make the play, I'm not shocked based on what they've shown me in the past. So arm talent, deep play accuracy. I mean, even the throw last week against Green Bay was freakish. Off platform, downfield 30 yards on 4th and 8. By the way, game on the line against Green Bay, your biggest rival. He's got the clutch gene. He's been unbelievable in the fourth quarter and overtime this year. Arm talent, leadership. He's A++++ on all of those things. All he's got to do is fix accuracy. Give me that over, Tua. Tua's pretty accurate, but not sure he's clutch. Don't think he's a very good leader, and he can't throw the ball down the field. Like, everything has to be scripted perfectly. By the way, mobile. Caleb Williams is extremely mobile. Tua is not. So do you want Tua or do you want Caleb Williams, who's awesome, A++, 10 out of 10 at literally everything, except for accuracy, which he has to get better at. By the way, he's 24. He's going to get better at accuracy. Josh Allen's an erratic player. We'll get to him in just a second, but Josh Allen came in the league. He was a low 50% completion guy. He was like in the just a little bit above the Tim Tebow area. He's fixed that. He's about a mid-60% completion guy, which is, I think, what the bar, the target is going to be for a guy like Caleb. Because for a guy that pushes the ball down the field as much as he does, he's never going to be in that like 70% completion area, mid-60s. That needs to be his target going into the 2026 offseason. But when you have a guy who, again, there's certain athletes, folks, and this is why I freaking love Caleb out of USC. There are certain athletes that you see when they enter the professional scene. They do stuff that you can't explain. Whether it's a physical advantage, like in basketball, Victor Wembanyama, LeBron James, like, God, LeBron's 18. He looks like he's got the body of a 30-year-old. Like, he's going to be amazing. Victor Wembanyama, 7'5", and can shoot threes and block shots. I think he's going to work. Or if it's in the case of Aaron Rodgers, who obviously was a low first-round pick, could have went first overall in 2005. But Aaron Rodgers, by his like second year as a starter, like, holy crap, that looks different. That doesn't look the same as everybody else. Does things physically that other quarterbacks just can't do. Brady's the greatest quarterback ever. Peyton is Mount Rushmore for me. They couldn't do those things. That's what Caleb brings to the table. So, you mean I'm supposed to panic over accuracy, which can be improved over time? We've seen countless quarterbacks improve that over the course of their career. Josh Allen, who some people, I think wrongly, think is the best quarterback in the league. He's fixed it. A lot of guys have. Some of it's mechanics. Caleb talked about that after the game. Some of it's mechanics. Some of it is being more on platform. I will take the guy, as I've said all year about Caleb, that makes the hard throws look easy and the easy throws make hard than the other way around, essentially. Like, okay, yeah, anybody can make the throws when they're scripted, when it's, a timing route. What happens when the play breaks down? What happens when you take the snap on fourth down, Rams are coming at you 100 miles an hour, and you have to run backwards 30 yards with the season on the line? What happens when you're facing pressure against Green Bay, a rusher coming from your right, you got to move to your left, off platform, and sidearm it 30 yards down the field on the sideline for a first down? You can't teach that. And so when you have a brilliant coach like Ben Johnson, who I thought had a much better game this week, people are second-guessing the fourth downs. Man, he's from the Dan Campbell tree. People love it when Campbell does it. People hate it when Ben Johnson does it. I don't know. It's who you've been all year. Stick with that. I defended Dan Campbell on that 2 years ago against San Francisco. It's gotten you to this point. Stick with that. If you're going to lose being who you are. With a brilliant coach like that, a front office has put together an excellent offensive line, weapons. Listen, he threw the 3 picks. The first, to be fair, his fourth down, his hand got hit. And the third one, DJ Moore just straight up gave up on the route. I mean, that's what happened. Now, you could say Caleb probably shouldn't push the ball down the field in that situation because, hey, we're 15, 20 yards from field goal range. That's a fair criticism. But to say the pick itself was on Caleb, that's nonsense. So like I saw a clip today, some radio show, Caleb Williams, he's like the TikTok quarterback. Like, he makes the great throws that make good highlights, but he's actually not that good when you actually watch him. Yeah, that's for dumb people that don't know how quarterback play works in this league. That's for people who, see Caleb with the tangible abilities that Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes has. By the way, the quarterbacks he's mirrored his game after. But unlike Aaron, he's got leadership. Like Mahomes, he's got the clutch gene. He just got to worry about, he has to work on getting more accurate. Okay, he can do that. Look at the leap he made from his rookie year to this year. What's he going to make from this year to next year? He's 24. And that's the thing about Chicago, too, moving forward. You should feel amazing about if you're a Bears fan. He's still in his rookie deal. You don't have to pay him until next year. You can be maybe aggressive in free agency. You can go out and get a defensive piece. Even next season at the trade deadline if need be. Get another pass rusher. Address it in the draft. So Chicago is set up to be excellent for the next decade. A+++ talented quarterback who here's what I will say. I will not say I won't say right now on January 19th, 2026, that Caleb Williams is guaranteed going to lead the Bears to the Super Bowl next year. If he improves the accuracy and the Bears improve their defense, I'll go there. But we got to wait till the offseason. Here's what I will say. And if I'm wrong, call me out on it. By the end of next season, in no particular order, because I don't know what's going to happen next year. I don't know what's going to happen at the end of this year. By the end of next year, we will look at the 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL as follows, in no particular order. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Drake May, Lamar Jackson, Caleb Williams. If Matthew Stafford retires, if the Rams go on to win the Super Bowl and Stafford says, you know what, I'm going to go out on top, I'm out of here, Caleb is the best quarterback in his conference. He's indisputably the best quarterback in his own division. That's not even a discussion. Over, obviously, McCarthy, Goff, Love. He's beat Love in a playoff game. He's the best quarterback in the conference. Therefore, if the Bears are able to improve the defensive side of the ball, which he's had to carry all season long, all of a sudden you got a team that can win the NFC and win your first Super Bowl in 4 decades. So Caleb Williams after the game. And by the way, something else, people are like, oh, Caleb, kind of immature. He's fantastic with the media. Don't buy what the trolls on the internet say. Caleb Williams talking about the kind of the disconnect and the miscommunication on the interception to DJ Moore in overtime.
Like I said, it was just a miscommunication. Trying to just flatten him off under safety. And since the other safety was down, I felt like we had enough space over there, so I tried to flatten him off, and just a miscommunication. His route is, to go deep and attack that angle, which he did, and we thought we were going to go under the safety at that point, and it didn't happen that way.
Listen, it happens. A lot of that's going to be a matter of just being able to build a bit of rapport with DJ Moore, who we know is an incredibly talented player, who made the catch against Green Bay in that first overtime game, and actually made the game-winning catch against Green Bay in the playoff game last week. So he's a guy Caleb trusts. They built their rapport. I mean, last season there seemed to be a little bit of a, I don't want to say animosity, but a little bit of an irritation from quarterback to wide receiver about not being on the same page. Wasn't the case this year. I mean, forget the improvement from last year to this season. Look at the improvement from remember that week 2 game against Detroit and the Bears got clobbered? They started 0-2. It's like, oh, God. Because I was a believer long-term in Caleb and Ben Johnson, but most were thinking, man, we know Ben Johnson's good. Well, they may need to think about an upgrade at quarterback. By the end of the season, it's like, oh my God, he put them on his back at the end. He was Superman. Again, the pick at the end, DJ Moore stopping the route. I wouldn't put that on Caleb Williams. But if I will take the guy 10 times out of 10 who can do the unteachable things, can't do the teachable, well, that's easy. You've got a brilliant coach in Ben Johnson. He can help you with those things. He can help him get better at accuracy and timing. He's an offensive genius. Of course he will. They've got weapons on that side of the ball. He's got an offensive line to give him the necessary time to protect. He can improve those things. You can't teach great mobility. You can't teach insane arm strength. You can't teach leadership, and you can't teach clutch gene. He's A+ at all 4. So if you're a Bears fan, rarely is there such thing as a good playoff loss. That was it. That was it. And Caleb Williams showed it to you. I got some comments. Patrick says, Tua can't lead anybody out of a parking lot. That's for sure. Yeah, you want to talk about somebody who has leadership exposed this year, Tua would be at the top of the list. Patrick also says, a quarterback who takes accountability. Give me the honesty over subliminal jabs at players. No question. And that's, he was like, hey, you know what? I know of a certain quarterback, formerly of the Steelers, Jets, and Packers, who would have gone out of his way to let people know, guys, hey, DJ Moore made the mistake. I want everybody to know he stopped on the route. I threw the ball where it was supposed to be. Hey, cameraman in the back, you catching this? It was not my fault, okay? Television cameras. All right, NBC, ESPN, CBS. Hey, guys, promise. You remember, those side eyes? I promise it's not my fault. Remember Mike Williams out of the red line? We had to hear about the red line for 5 minutes. Caleb, not the case. Great with the media. Okay. Boy, oh boy. Johnny Vagianos is going to join us in at the top of the next hour, around about 10 after 7 Eastern. So you're definitely want to stay tuned for that. Really, really talented content creator. Looking forward to having him on. He's a big Bills fan. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So with the Buffalo Bills, man, they lose on Saturday night to the Denver Broncos 33-30. I'll get to Bo Nix and the injury. Just, it sucks for the kid to have the best game of his life, the most important game of his life, comes up clutch and then breaks his ankle. It just feels sick for him. For the Buffalo Bills, it's pretty simple. And in fact, it's so simple. It's something I've said on my show for a few weeks now. I caught a lot of hell for it, but I think I'm being validated for that today. Just take a listen to me on Carving It Up 3 weeks ago. Every single time they're within striking distance, and in a game like yesterday, and this is going to sound like a dig, but it's the way I've watched this team for years now. And the number one reason that despite Patrick Mahomes' deterioration in productivity, the deterioration in passer rating, touchdown passes, the whole bit, why I've been hesitant to put Josh ahead of him. I'm shocked when, I shouldn't say shocked, that's too far. I expect when Josh Allen gets the ball in his hands for Buffalo not to score and win the game. It sounds harsh, but there's that, it sounds cliche, that it factor that I do not see with Josh Allen, that I do see with Mahomes, that obviously we saw with Brady, that I do see in a Jalen Hurts, that I do see in Matthew Stafford, that I do see in Caleb Williams. I mean, I could have called it weeks ago, and I basically did. Let me say this first to get this out of the way, because I feel like with the Josh Allen stands, acolytes, and fanboys, you have to preface any criticism you have of this player with this. And I'm being genuine when I say this. Josh Allen is one of the 5 most talented players at his position in the history of the league. You put it in whatever order you want. Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, John Elway, Dan Marino, Caleb Williams to a certain degree. You can throw whoever you... Josh Allen is in that regard. Somebody that big, with that arm strength, that mobility, that playmaking, thing that he has that brings to the table. He's sensational. And I defend, people were crapping on his MVP last year, defended him completely. I thought he was slightly more valuable last year than Lamar Jackson. But as you heard in that clip, when he doesn't come through, it does not surprise me. When Tom Brady would throw and the rare occasions he threw a pick to end the game or wouldn't convert on a 4th down, he's like, God, Brady didn't come through. That's shocking. In the times Mahomes hasn't come up big in the playoffs, like, God, that's not the norm for him. This year, when Caleb Williams lost the game yesterday, man, Caleb always comes through. Stafford always comes through. There's a reason that prior to last week, Josh Allen had a grand total of 0 game-winning drives in the postseason. Before we go further, let's go and show Josh Allen's numbers in that game yesterday against the Denver Broncos, because he was great in certain points, and he cost the Bills in others. He had 3 total touchdowns, but not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 turnovers. More on the last one in a second. 64% completion, 349 total yards, a 90 rating, and a QBR 0 to 100 of 48. Like, feels about right. Like, yeah, he had a couple of big-time touchdowns throws, and the turnovers, 3 of the 4 were 100% his fault. And this is a player that I have been lectured, that I have been convinced you don't know football if you don't think Josh Allen is by a wide margin the best quarterback in the NFL. I mean, the idea, you think Mahomes is better than this guy? Mahomes has one down year. It's like, oh, kick him to the curb. He's no good anymore. Even though that in the playoffs, that's what they've done against each other. Like, Josh has been good. Mahomes has been objectively better. And, oh, by the way, Mahomes is 4-0 in the playoffs against him. By the way, no Mahomes. This was the opportunity, Josh. And Buffalo Bills. Yeah, you got to go on the road. Guess what? Few teams in the history of this league have a perfect, smooth path to winning a championship. Guess what? It's hard. And when you folks, the Broncos have a great defense. Buffalo didn't punt in this game. What does that tell you? Denver never stopped them. Not one time was it, did Jim Nantz say, all right, 3 now, and the Bills have to punt? Not once. The turnover at the end of the first half. We literally saw him do this in a playoff game when he was in year 2. He's in year 8 now. So in a 6-year span, Josh has learned nothing. If you didn't see the play, end of the first half, 15 seconds to go, Buffalo's deep in their own territory, no timeouts. Josh takes off running. Okay, fine. He's going to get what he can, and the half's probably going to expire. He turns around and tries to lateral it to a teammate, and I have to hear guys on television, well, the offensive lineman should have jumped on it. Josh shouldn't have lateraled it. What are you doing? Denver recovers and they get a field goal out of it. Just handed them 3 points. Then you get strip sacked to start the second half. The Bills defense, which everyone was, oh my gosh, the Bills defense is terrible. It ain't great. They did their job. Held Denver to a field goal when Denver could have ended a 3-score game and pretty much ended it right there. When Buffalo's coming back, another interception when he doesn't see the safety over the top. And by the way, the one that doesn't show up in the box score necessarily misses his tight. I think it was Dawson Knox. Misses his tight end wide the you-know-what open before the field goal attempt by Prater in the fourth quarter. Wide open. Worst case would have put them at the 3-yard line. They would have burned a timeout and probably won the game on the next play. He's supremely talented. He's unbelievably gifted. This is why I can't put him at that number 1 spot. This is why Josh Allen, this is why these numbers don't surprise me at all when I did the research on him. Josh Allen's overtime stats, put those up. He's like the worst overtime quarterback in NFL history. He has, that should say 2 picks. No total touchdowns. He has 2 interceptions in overtime in his career. 42% completion, 85 passing yards in his career in overtime, an 18 rating. That's unthinkable. And he's 0-7 in overtime in his career. You can't trust him when the lights get bright. Remember the game last year? It's Kansas City. I tweeted it immediately. First 2 passes, like both of those should have been picked. And Romo was even on the broadcast like, oh crap, Josh is rattled right now. In that game yesterday, dude, what are you doing? What? Throwing a pass behind you? You have no timeouts. Like half's about to run out. And you just handed Denver 3 points. Handed it to them that they wouldn't have had otherwise. This is why I can't put him above Mahomes. Listen, if by season's end, if Stafford wins the Super Bowl or Drake May wins the Super Bowl and folks want to say that's the best quarterback, I'll disagree, but there's a case for it. Hey, Mahomes had a down year. His regular season numbers have taken a dip the last few years. Maybe Eric Bieniemy fix that. Who knows? But there'll be a case for it. Hey, May's ascending. Hey, Stafford was statistically the best quarterback in the league this year. 46 touchdowns. You can't make a case for him as the best quarterback in the league. Top 5? Hey. Top 2? Absolutely. Not the best. And I also did want to get to, and again, Johnny's coming on later, and he's one of the few Bills fans who haven't made idiotic excuses. And I genuinely, I've said it in the show, the pity that people have for Browns fans, they should have for Bills fans. You go to 4 straight Super Bowls, lose all of them. You lose the Music City Miracle. From that point on to 2017, you don't make the playoffs once. You get tortured by Brady for 15 to 20 years in that span. Then the time you get your quarterback, Kansas City gets theirs. He's better than yours, beats you 4 times. Then Kansas City's quarterback gets hurt, misses the playoffs. And now New England's got their replacement for Brady and Drake May. If there's one franchise in the entire National Football League that has no right to complain about officiating, It's the Buffalo Bills. Before we get into that, take a listen to the now fired Sean McDermott talking about the playoff loss and the outlandish call to give the interception to Denver in overtime. Sean McDermott after the game will break down why he's out of his mind in this dissertation.
It's hard for me to, and I've had a chance to look at, it's hard for me to understand why it was ruled the way it was ruled. And if it is ruled that way, then why wasn't it slowed down? Just to make sure that we have this right. That would have made a lot of sense to me, to make sure that we have this thing right, because that's a pivotal play in the game. We have the ball at the 20, maybe kicking a game-winning field goal right there. So I'll just leave it at that. But I'm saying it because I'm standing up for Buffalo, damn it. I'm standing up for us. Because what went on is not how it should go down, in my estimation. That play, these guys spent 3 hours out there playing football, pouring their guts out, to not even say, hey, let's just slow this thing down. That's why I'm bothered.
Give me a freaking break. I've never seen a franchise, and by the way, Josh Allen's not included in this, for the record. I've never seen a franchise whine more than the Buffalo Bills when it comes to, the rules aren't fair in our favor because we lost a playoff game. I mean, just open up the pity party for us. Okay. You lost the all-time classic game to the Chiefs in 2021. The 13-second game, who could forget? And you lost, Bills fans feel like, and I understand why, we lost the game because we lost the coin toss. Because back in those days, touchdown into the game on your first possession. Well, Mahomes went boom, 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 touchdown to Kelsey ball game. Josh Allen never touches the ball. So the NFL says, you know what? Gosh darn it, man. Now, I know this is definitely not the only time that a game has ended on a touchdown in overtime. See the 2014 NFC Championship game. See Steelers Broncos in 2011. See Patriots Chiefs in 2018. There's been a number of games in the playoffs in overtime end on a touchdown in the first drive. But in this case, we just feel bad for Buffalo. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to change the rules entirely for the playoffs. Both teams get possession. So they changed the rules for Buffalo there. A few years later, you lose to the Kansas City Chiefs because we couldn't get the first down. Josh Allen clearly and obviously got the first down on those tush pushes, particularly in the fourth quarter in that game against the Chiefs last year. This is an outrage. We got to change the rules as if we've never had inches. It's a game of inches. The NFL is, football is. We've never had plays where it's that close to a guy getting it or not getting a first down on fourth down or third down. But for the Bills, we feel sorry for them. Let's bring in the virtual measurement. Let's do that. And now we're complaining about a play that was we're going to play the footage that is so clearly and obviously not a catch by Brandon Cooks, but an interception by McMillan. Show the tape and let's put it on loop. So you see Cooks is coming down with it there. He's got it. He's got to make full possession. He does not have the football right there. It ain't an incompletion. McMillan's got the ball. Play it on loop again. Here you go. Cook's going down. Contested catch with McMillan. He's got it. Right there, he's losing it. Ball's popping out of his hands. And then McMillan takes it from him. That, my friends, is textbook interception. Territory, broke it down on CBS. Other officials have said, yeah, we would have ruled it exactly the same way. That's not a catch by Brandon Cooks. I have never seen a franchise that, by the way, does not get the benefit of the doubt, or at least shouldn't get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to, if a couple of calls go our way, that's what's going to get us to the Super Bowl. Is that why? Put up this graphic. Is that why the Buffalo Bills have underachieved more than any franchise in the league the last 6 years? Since 2020, first in points allowed, first in record. In theory, the best team in the league for 6 years. No Super Bowl appearances, no Super Bowl wins. So I'm supposed to believe that's why you haven't done it, is the loser behavior like that. By Sean McDermott, by some of those Bills players, by some in the media and some Bills fans who are acting like that decided the football game. As if your quarterback didn't turn the ball over not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. Oh, the fourth one should have counted. He still turned over 3 times before that. Josh is special. Josh is amazing. Josh is unbelievable. He cost you that game. He did. Like that's not debatable. Those turnovers killed their chance of winning. They will go and play Josh Allen, who was, I mean, you feel bad for him, devastated after the game, and to his credit, took accountability.
Josh, how hard is it to just get here again and have this happen?
It's extremely difficult. I feel like I let my teammates down tonight.
Listen, and I'll be honest, I've been critical of some of Josh Allen's press conferences after losses for about a year. It's like, God, after every loss, he looks like his dog died. Like, and now this is playoffs, so it's different. You understand the tears. I've been on record. I want my athletes to cry after big losses than be apathetic. 100%. So we know Josh cares. We know the work he puts in to be great. But Josh, because he has self-awareness, understands, man, that cost us tonight. If I don't put the ball in harm's way over and over and over again, we're going to Foxborough for the AFC Championship game to take on the Patriots, and we like our chances. Instead, for the third time, for the fifth year in a row, the Bills can't make the winning play. It's not because the refs screwed you. One calls all of a sudden gets you. That should make me feel so bad for you, for your football team, for Sean McDermott. You had control of winning that game. Blaming refs, I've said it for years in the show, that's loser behavior. Teams that win multiple championships, teams that become dynasties, they don't blame the refs. They point fingers, they point thumbs, not fingers. They look in the mirror, not out the window. And the Buffalo Bills have been looking out the window, they've been blaming refs, blaming Mahomes, blaming the rules, which the NFL changes for them, by the way, every single time. Now they're trying to gaslight us on what a catch is. We saw it. One more time. Play that for the audience. Cooks has it. Ball's coming out right there. McMillan takes it away from him. That's a textbook interception. What are we even arguing about right now? Denver won that game because they didn't shoot themselves in the foot over and over like you did. That's the reality of it. Bills hurt themselves. Like, that's what it was. So, listen, I feel bad for Josh in the sense that he hasn't, broken through. We want to see Josh win a ring. He's a good dude, done amazing stuff in Buffalo. He's a great, great, great player. But if he is the best quarterback in the game, let's hold him that standard. We crushed Mahomes, rightfully so, when he got clobbered in the Super Bowl last year. Brady, when he'd have bad games in the postseason, which was rare, but when it happened, we clobbered him. We did it with Peyton Manning. We've done it with Aaron Rodgers. This guy's exempt. Bills fans and the Bills team acts like they're the first team that has lost because of, maybe a glitch in the rules. As if no team in the history of the NFL has ever lost an overtime game in which the first team got the ball and the other team got the ball and scored first. But for Buffalo, they changed the rules. For the virtual measurement, they changed the rules for Buffalo. And now they want us to believe what a catch is or isn't. Miss me with that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come, by the way, Johnny Vagianos is joining the show in about 30 minutes or so to talk about his Bills, talk about other headlines around the NFL. Johnny, I don't want to speak for him, but he's said on his show, like, he's been one of the few Bills fans, like, guys, we lost not because of refs, not because of a bad call. Josh didn't play well. So there you go. We're going to take a 1-minute break. When we come back, talk about Bo Nix and the just gutting injury for the Broncos. I think they're dead. I think their season's over. Talk about that. The Seahawks dominant win over the Niners. New England's win over Houston. Why, if I'm the Texans, I do not pay CJ Stroud, and a whole lot more coming up after the break on Carving Up Live. We are just getting started, baby. Don't go anywhere after 1 minute. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on a divisional round reaction Monday. Again, Johnny Vagianos is going to be joining us in about a half hour or so. You're definitely going to want to stay tuned for that. He's really, really cool dude, Bills fan, great content creator, YouTube channel, the whole bit. So definitely stay tuned for that because I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about his Bills, not just in regards to, of course, the loss on Saturday, but they'll fire McDermott, which we'll get into in just a moment. I did want to move to the other side of that game with Denver and Buffalo with Bo Nix. You will rarely find a more gut-punching injury than what you saw in this game. So, first of all, of course, all of America, we didn't even know it happened until afterwards, until Sean Payton told us, because we're watching. Denver gets in a field goal range. Bo Nix, spots the ball, walks off the field. Will Lutz does his job, hits the kick, and Denver's advancing. Everybody's excited. And, Bo Nix gets interviewed after the game and seems fine. And Sean Payton announces, yeah, he broke his ankle. He's done for the playoffs. Like, crap, that was just a emotional roller coaster for Broncos fans. And I have been a Bo Nix skeptic in the sense of, man, he's great in fourth quarters. For the first three, the deep ball doesn't really work. He doesn't see the field that well. He's not terribly accurate in those spots. The accuracy still doesn't improve, but credit where it's due. Bo Nix Saturday against the Buffalo Bills. 3 touchdowns. He did have the 1 interception, 56% completion, but he had 309 total yards. He had an 87 passer rating and a QBR 0-100 of 64. And of course, the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter to Mims was the best throw by either quarterback in that game. I mean, just to hit him over the top, looking it right into his hands, like that's the classic walk it to him type of throw, where it's you could not have ran the ball 30 yards and put it in his hands any better if you had done that as opposed to making the throw that Bo Nix did. So he was, when you needed to be clutch, he was the opposite of Josh Allen. Great in the end of the fourth quarter, came up big in overtime, made all the big throws. Buffalo brought a lot of blitzes, brought a lot of pressure. He kind of struggled with that at times through the first 3. Fourth quarter, Sean Payton make adjustments. They end up winning the game, and kudos to them. But Denver's done. They're done. And it sucks. We want to see, especially in AFC championship games, NFC championship games, we want to see all the best players on the field, let the best team win. And so the fact that you never want to see a really talented player, his team advance or his team's in the playoffs, and he or she doesn't get an opportunity to have a say in the team's final outcome. Like that is the most devastating feeling for an athlete. Like you hear athletes say all the time, we kind of feel like it's in one ear, out the other. It's just as it pertains to just being cliche. What do athletes say all the time? Man, we just want a chance. We just want to give ourselves a chance. Give ourselves a chance. That's what the ultimate competitors want to do. And I imagine Bo Nix feels the exact same way, and I'm sure he's sick. I think we're doing the show Monday. Reportedly, he's going to have surgery, I think, in Birmingham, Alabama tomorrow. So, best wishes, prayers for Bo Nix. Hopefully he is able to be ready for week 1 of next season. And this isn't even a disrespect to Jarrett Stidham, but he started 4 games in the NFL. He's 1-3. He was briefly with the Patriots. Bill Belichick, this is post-Brady. Belichick saw Jarrett Stidham like, yeah, I'm going to go with an old-washed Cam Newton ahead of you, as opposed to seeing if you're our future guy. So, Sean, I could see Jarrett Stidham next week against New England having like a good opening drive. Dare I say, maybe Denver goes up 7-0. I can see Sean Payton taking the opening kick. Hey, Jarrett, you do your thing. Boom, boom, boom. Cortland Sutton making a few plays. We score a touchdown. We're up 7-0, and the Mile High is going crazy. And then as Vrabel makes adjustments, and then as the Patriots coaching staff does what it does, as you see some of the limitations that Jarrett Stidham does bring to the table that Bo Nix doesn't have. Jarrett does not move. One of the things that Bo does not get credit for, moves really well, or really athletic for a white guy. Let's be honest. He's athletic for a white guy. Doesn't have the arm talent that Bo Nix has. That's going to get exposed over the course of 3.5 hours in Denver. It just is. Now, maybe Jarrett Stidham turns back the clock, but maybe he becomes the 2020s version of Nick Foles, who I thought sent an absolutely hilarious tweet. Matter of fact, maybe I'll put it on the YouTube video for this once we have put it on the channel. But Nick Foles with the tweet after the game, if we have it. Note for the Broncos and their fans. I know it's been an emotional 24 hours. I feel for Bo and the team, and I'm sending prayers for a strong recovery. A positive note going into the game against the Patriots is that they struggle against backup quarterbacks in championship-type games. Well, I mean, we saw that Super Bowl, and he lit that Patriots defense on fire. So he's not wrong. He's not wrong. But listen, if there's any team out of the entire playoff picture where that could happen, my first pick would be the Rams because it's Sean McVay and those weapons. Second pick would be Denver Sean Payton's an offensive guy. Sean Payton's worked with a lot of different quarterbacks. He's kind of like a quarterback whisperer to a certain degree. They do have weapons. That's one thing I haven't really appreciated, and why I've been kind of hard on Bo Nix this year is the Broncos' weapons aren't trash. Like, people act like it's Cortland Sutton's like a great number 2 and not that good of a number 1. I wholeheartedly disagree. Good route runner, contested catch guy. They trust him on third down. Mims is a great deep ball guy. Good tight end play. Reportedly, they might get RJ Harvey, who got hurt earlier this season. They might get him back from injury to kind of revitalize that running game, which would be huge for this team. Play ball control against Drake May and the Patriots. You're hoping for the best for them, but there's also they're cooked. They're not going to win this game. And again, it sucks to have a situation where a talented young athlete doesn't have a chance to have a final say in his or her team's outcome in the season. And that's the case with Bo Nix, and that really sucks. So what's happened with Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7 of the finals? Like, gosh, the Pacers are going to go down, and Tyrese Halliburton didn't have a final say in it. Got a comment here from one of the games we talked about earlier. Major Price Y7J. Stafford is the GOAT of final drives. He's one of the best, that's for sure. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think he's like top 5, top 10 all time in game-winning drives. Like, that's his MO. Even when he wasn't winning playoff games in Detroit, he was usually one of the more clutch players in the league when it came to that. So that was that was a special drive by Matthew Stafford against the Chicago Bears in bad weather, rough conditions. Bears got the momentum. Cool, calm, collected, does his thing. Let's shift to Patriots, Texans. Let's talk about New England first. So I said it last week, and I repeat it today. If you're a Patriots fan, especially obviously now with the Bo Nix news that we just talked about, you got to be absolutely ecstatic about your chances of winning a Super Bowl. Not just because of the 14 wins and all that, is the fact that you played a great Chargers defense, played an unbelievable Texans defense. So, great coaches, Jim Harbaugh and DeMeco Ryans, well-run organizations, good rosters. And Drake May wasn't that good in either of the games. We can show you the numbers. Like, first 2 playoff games, Drake's been at his moments, but he's got more turnovers than touchdowns. 58% completion, 261 pass yards. That's good. 93 passer rating and a 2-0 record. That last graphic is the only thing that matters. Stafford talked about earlier, survive in advance. So we haven't had the quote-unquote Drake May game yet in the playoffs. Well, what's going to happen when we do? The way this Patriots defense is playing when it comes to their ability to take the football away, when it comes to their ability to get to the quarterback. They did it to Herbert last week, did it to CJ Stroud yesterday in Foxborough. You've now got a Jarrett Stidham who's made 4 starts in his entire NFL career coming in now. That's red meat for this New England team. And I think it's my big takeaway from watching the Patriots yesterday and throughout the season, but particularly in the playoffs, these last 2 games against the Chargers and the Texans, is that, and it's more a message to my Steelers than anything, it's okay to bottom out. It really is. It's okay. You had the greatest dynasty in NFL history with the greatest quarterback, and in my opinion, player in NFL history with Brady for 20 years, won 6 Super Bowls, went to another 3. We know what the run is. Belichick kicks him out the back door. You have that one okay season with Mac Jones, make the playoffs, get curb stomped by Buffalo, and then you barely miss the playoffs 22, 4 wins in 23, 4 wins last year. Belichick, behind the times coach, moved on. Jerome Mayo, in over his head coach, moved on. Then you got your guy. Before that, you drafted a high upside quarterback who you believed in long-term in Drake May, who moves well, who has the arm talent, who's accurate, who's poised, who's an excellent leader, who's clutch, as we've seen in that game against Baltimore at the end of the regular season, and really settled in the second half of this game despite the fumbles and the bad conditions and all of it. It's okay to have a couple lean years. I've heard some Patriots fans say, well, I mean, because the rest of us mortal fans, man, you guys got it so good. You go for 20 years, have the greatest dynasty ever. You win all these Super Bowls. Okay, you sucked for a few years, and now you're back. And now you might win this year. A very good chance you win in the future. It's got to be great to be a Patriots fan. The Pats fans I know, shout out to Tim, Dylan, Great Grady, all these guys. They've been like, hey, we were really bad. We didn't know this was going to happen. Yeah, I get it, but you know what? It's over now. Your brief period of suffering is over. Your brief period of being the Cleveland Browns, that's a wrap. Now you're back to being the Patriots again. But they couldn't have gotten Drake May if they had not sucked. in Belichick's final season. They didn't say, you know what? Either we stick with Mac Jones or we go with like a 1-year bridge guy and start him the whole season, and maybe we can eke our way to playoff contention by December. You're never going to win a Super Bowl that way. That's the standard in New England. You won 6. You got the most Super Bowls ever. You're trying to get back there again. You're trying to show, hey, Brady's not the only guy that can win us championships. We can get another top 5 caliber guy to get us that level, and a great defensive coach, which obviously Vrabel is. It's okay to bottom out. It's okay to have a couple lean years to build this thing back up. Hint, hint, that's what I'm praying my Steelers do. Hiring a young, now in the case of Vrabel's pretty young by coach standards, but Vrabel, defensive guy who had previous head coach experience. We know the Titans should have never fired him. But in the case of Pittsburgh, hire a young, innovative offensive mind from a good coaching tree. Draft a bottom out, draft a high upside quarterback. Do all of those things to put yourself in position to where you can be like the Patriots in the future and competing for titles. To where you can be a New England team that is built for bad weather like you saw yesterday. You can run the football with TreVeyon Henderson and with Ramondre Stevenson. You don't really have a true, you could say Diggs is a true number 1 receiver, but he's obviously, this is year 11 for Stephon Diggs. You've got Keyshawn Boutte, who made a sick catch to basically put the dagger in the Houston Texans in the fourth quarter. You've got good tight end play with Hunter Henry, Pop Douglas, who got a touchdown early in the game. Surround your quarterback with pieces that fit him. But again, it's okay to have a period where you're just not very good. You stockpile draft picks, you stockpile cap space, which the Patriots did. Spend an excess, I think, of something like $300 million, something crazy in free agent contracts in terms of their total, the value of those deals. And by the way, you're not paying Drake May anything. Same thing that's benefiting the Chicago Bears right now. You're not paying them a dime. You're putting yourself in position to be obviously considered the rest of this year, but next year, yeah, you'll have to pay Drake May, but you hope that he's more developed by then. He's playing better in the postseason than he has. Again, we'll show the Drake May stats. He's struggled a little bit in the postseason. More turnovers than touchdowns this year. Maybe some jitters. In the case of yesterday, I feel like it was more bad weather than jitters. Felt like it was, you're paying Will Anderson, who's unblockable, and Danielle Hunter and this great Houston Texans defense. But if you're a Patriots fan, those lean years were worth it. And you have to absolutely love your chance. Drake May has not had a great game, far from it, in the first 2 playoff wins. And it's been your defense that's carried you. Now, you could say it's because of Herbert in the moment getting too big from the playoffs, Stroud's just overall regression, which we'll get to in just a moment. But again, if you're a Patriots fan, the path's pretty darn clear. Now with the Bo Nix injury, they're 5.5-point favorites. I don't know if I go quite that far as it pertains to taking New England to cover on Sunday. We got to see what injury reports look like. You haven't had the big Drake May game yet, and you're a win away from the Super Bowl. That's got to feel good if you're a Patriots fan. On the Houston side, they're going to have decisions to make in the offseason as it pertains to paying guys. Will Anderson's one of those guys, 3rd overall pick. Remember, that was really controversial, oddly, in 2023. It was, they take Stroud 2nd overall, then they trade up, I think, with Arizona to get the 3rd pick, and people are like, what are they doing? Like, Will Anderson's good. Is he that good? Yeah, he's that good. He's a guy who's going to win some Defensive Player of the Year, and you saw him yesterday. He's sensational. Will Anderson's going to get the bag. He's going to be the highest paid pass rusher in the NFL. He's going to break Micah Parsons' record deal in 3, 4, 5 months. He's worth every penny. I don't think you can, in good conscience, if you are the Houston Texans, give C.J. Stroud an extension. You can't do it. Now, exercise the 5th-year option. You don't want him to go into a lame duck year. He's done enough to where he gets the 5th-year option. So is Bryce Young with the Carolina Panthers, which today, is there that much daylight between them? I don't know. But C.J. Stroud will show his numbers against the Patriots. We saw the game. He's utterly dreadful. He had 1 touchdown, 4 picks, one of them being a pick 6. He had a 42% completion, 212 yards, a 28 passer rating, and a QBR 0 to 100 of 21. And in the playoffs, it was his fault that they didn't go to the AFC Championship game. He had almost quadrupled the turnovers he had touchdowns. 7 turnovers, couple touchdowns, completion percentage, barely completed half his throws, 51 rating, 36 QBR. It's not good enough. It's just not. I don't know if it's he rested on his laurels after that rookie season. Remember, he was kind of on that press tour with Micah Parsons, and he's sumo wrestling. I don't know if that he was satisfied after one excellent season. Maybe that's the case. I don't know whether it's play calling, but even with bad play calling, some of those decisions where he's coming, he's being brought to the ground, and he just like throws a pop up in the air for anyone to go up and grab it. These throws where he just does not see the corner playing zone and just stepping right in front of his intended target. I get Nico Collins is out. I get you have to force a few throws to Kirk and to Hutchinson and to Dalton Schultz, who obviously got hurt early in the game. But some of these are, gosh, this is a quarterback making his first few starts throws. Not a guy who the Texans got to decide if they're paying or not. You know you've got the coach D'Amico Ryans. That's no debate about that. You've loaded the defensive side of the ball at all three levels, elite in all three in that regard. You've spent money. You've drafted well. And offensively, listen, they need to upgrade the O-line. There's no question about that. Not having Joe Mixon this year hurt them. They could probably take a running back in one of the mid-rounds. But Nico Collins comes back next year. He's an elite weapon. I liked what I saw at times from Hutchinson, Christian Kirk. We'll see with him. Schultz is a good third down tight end. Like, you've got pieces. This is a roster that's more than good enough to play in an AFC championship game, but the quarterback held them back. And his regression the last few years has been shocking. Go from a guy who had five total interceptions his rookie year to in 2 playoff games, he had 7 turnovers. It's a shocking regression for CJ Stroud. So I think if you're Houston, this does not even need to be that long of a discussion. Like, yeah, we need to give him another year. If you want to bring in a new OC, feel free. Upgrade the offensive line, absolutely. But the decision-making, we know CJ Stroud, he's not crazy mobile, right? There's a reason he was compared to Jared Goff coming out of college. Now, I think he's got a better arm than Goff. Goff's more accurate, but doesn't move that well. Not a guy who can take off and make plays with his legs. Not a guy who makes a ton of throws outside of the pocket. He kind of has to play within a structure, timing routes, the whole thing. And when it's thrown off, decision-making goes out the back door. It's atrocious. Houston, if you think the Panthers shouldn't give Bryce Young an extension, which, by the way, I don't, opt in the 5th-year option, give him a year, maybe 2. If you only should extend Bryce, then you shouldn't think the Texans should extend CJ. Straight up. I mean, he was utterly atrocious in these playoffs. I mean, if he had been fine against my Steelers, they'd have won 40-6, not 30-6. It's bad. And it's wasting a team that's really talented and has a brilliant coach. Before Johnny comes on in a few minutes, I did want to talk Seattle. So, of the 4 teams left, and I've had for about a month and a half, I've had Seattle as the best team in the NFL. I think despite some of the concerns we've had about Sam Darnold, who obviously had the oblique injury, there was debate, gosh, is Sam going to play in this game? Despite that, obviously Kenneth Walker had a huge game, a few touchdowns against that Niners defense. You've got Jackson Smith and Jigba. You've got Rashid Shaheed, obviously took the opening kickback for a touchdown. Anyone that's watched Carving Up Live for a few years knows I've been a big Rashid Shaheed fan since his days with the Saints. He's a burner. He's a difference-making type of a player. We saw in that game against the Rams on that Thursday night a few weeks ago. But it is scary, like really scary, how much the Seattle team reminds me of the last Seattle teams that have gotten to an NFC Championship game. Obviously in 2013 when they won the Super Bowl, 14 when they came as close as you can come without winning it against the Patriots. Is that the quarterback plays a little bit of the game manager role, works out of play action, doesn't make mistakes, can move a little bit. Darnold not quite as mobile as Russ, but he can move. You have running back by committee, although Charbonnet is out for the year, which just sucks. So it's going to be a lot more Kenneth Walker, which isn't a bad thing. But if you can divvy up those carries or 60-40, it feels like you can preserve those legs for the last 2 games of the playoffs, should Seattle get to the Super Bowl. But more than anything, what do we remember about those Seahawks teams? We remember beast mode and Russell Wilson making plays. We remember the Legion of Boom. We remember what is one of the greatest defenses of the last quarter century. If you had to rank 21st century defenses, 2000 Ravens are first, and then it's a debate between the 13 Seahawks and the 02 Buccaneers. I mean, they're in that type of company. And when you put in the context how effective San Francisco's passing game with Brock Purdy and with freaking Mac Jones was this season, and I get Kittle was out in this game, but they did have Pearsall back. If you look at the Niners in every single game this year, outside of their last 2 games against Seattle, it's stark. Put up that graphic. So every other game, The Niners quarterbacks, more turnovers than you'd like, but 33 touchdowns, 19 turnovers, not bad. Niners average about 27 a game, 99 rating, and they have a 13-4 record. Against the Seahawks, they become a third stringer on a bad team. 0 touchdowns, 3 turnovers. They scored 9 total points. 3 field goals against the Seahawks in their last 2 games, 59 rating, and of course the 0-2 record. Again, you do attribute some of that to Kittle's hurt. Ayuk hasn't been there all season. Pearsall was out for the first game against the Seattle Seahawks. So was Trent Williams. But you still have McCaffrey. Purdy's able to make plays outside the pocket. Pearsall was back in this game. This defense flies the football. This defense gets to the quarterback. McDonald's obviously a great defensive coach. Remember him as the DC in Baltimore. He's done an amazing job here in Seattle. My guess is, Kubiak probably gets a head coaching job when it's all said and done with the job that he's done with this offense. But Sam Darnold will talk about after the game the overall productivity of this Seattle Seahawks defense. This is what he said to Aaron Andrews after the Seahawks win over the Niners.
This defense not allowing a touchdown the last 2 games against the 49ers. What can you say just about how they fly, your defense, Sam?
Oh, they're unbelievable. They've stepped up every single game for us. Can't say enough great things about that defense. It was tough in training camp and OTAs going up against them, but I'm glad they're on our side.
I can't wait to see that matchup between them and that Rams offense, because obviously in the last game, Stafford threw for over 400 yards. Puka had the best game of his career, and they fell apart in the fourth quarter, and defense couldn't get a stop in overtime. My gut's telling me Seattle. My gut's telling me go with the better roster, go with the significantly better defense, the team at home, the team with more momentum with the Rams, who have kind of gotten out of dodge their last 2 playoff games as opposed to Seattle. I mean, people don't know how hard it is playing a team for the 3rd time in a season and just, embarrassing them. Opening kickoff on. That's what it was. And so kudos to Seahawks. That defense is Eamon Worry, DeMarcus Lawrence, Leonard Williams. What's my man's name? The linebacker. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. I think he had a pick in this game. Anyways, really, really special talent on that side of the ball. Patrick Brown in the comments. I'm happy for DeMarcus Lawrence having an opportunity to play winning football, and he has 1 game from a trip to Santa Clara. Yeah, imagine going for the first 11 years of your career wasting away in Dallas, and now you're with a well-run franchise, great defensive coach, and you have an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. All right, I've been looking forward to bringing this guy on for a while. He, I was on his show. I was on his IG Live right after the Steelers game against Houston last week to kind of vent a little bit and call for Tomlin's job and basically what every Steelers fan was doing. And then he was nice enough to have me on his post-game reaction show on YouTube. So we might as well return the favor, make it a home and home. So he is the host of the JV show. Would you please welcome from YouTube, Johnny Vagianos, who is joining Carving Up live right now. Johnny, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So listen, I know this is a tough weekend for you. You're obviously a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. Overall reaction to the game, we'll get to the McDermott stuff, but overall takeaways, do you blame more Josh Allen turnovers or controversial officiating call at the end?
Yeah, it's been a rough weekend, to say the least. It's been a while now watching the same story every single year in the playoffs with the Bills, so it gets kind of repetitive, and I'm sure we'll talk about the whole McDermott situation, which kind of it was the ultimate decision that needed to be made after I don't know how many playoff losses in the divisional round of the AFC Conference Championship. But, you take away from the game, we dominated Denver when we weren't turning over the ball. I haven't necessarily looked at the box score, but I'd be willing to bet that maybe all, or if not the majority of our possessions when we weren't turning over the ball, we were scoring. So it does sting that we went into overtime, we put up 30 points, and we lost the game, and it really does just fall on the turnover battle, right? The odd mistakes that we made. I didn't necessarily agree with us calling a play at the end of the half there that gave the Broncos another field goal, which probably won them the game. Josh Allen did not play his cleanest game, although he still did put up 30 points. The thing is when you play a great head coach like Sean Payton, who knows what he's doing and who's been to a Super Bowl, who's won a Super Bowl, and whose system works, the second you give a little bit of meat on the bone, he's going to take it, man. And what he did when we had guys in our secondary subbed out, Tre'Davious White, Cam Lewis, when they were moved out for a play or two, we saw them get exposed. They threw a post corner touchdown to, I believe, Lil Jordan Humphrey at the end of the half to go up 17-10 before the field goal, and then to ice the game in regulation, I believe, to go up, and then we ended up sending it to overtime. But Marvin Mims fade route when Tre'Davious White went out, and you just saw it coming, right? So it was a matter of just Sean Payton coaching up a masterclass. Bo Nix played a great game, and it does fall on us, man. You can't win games when you turn over the ball. We saw that with Josh Allen, CJ Stroud. We saw it all weekend long. Caleb Williams yesterday as well. So that's just the reality of the situation, and now we're looking at a completely new picture without Sean McDermott in the building.
And that's the thing, too, is like every single game of the playoffs thus far through the first 10, every team that has won the turnover battles won the game. Like that's pretty clear-cut football. That's what every coach talks about. It feels cliche. It feels like we talk about over and over, but it is a real thing. And to your point about Denver, we know how great their defense is. You guys never punted in that game against them, so they never really stopped you guys. It was the James Cook fumble that got it started. I don't know what's going through Josh's head at the end of the half to try and it looks like he was trying to throw a backwards pass lateral to keep it going to try and maybe get some points for the end of the half. It was self-inflicted errors that hurt the Bills in this game, and it's in large part why Sean McDermott's no longer the head coach today. Early this morning, Adam Schefter reports he's been fired after 9 years with the franchise. And I've always said on my show, I don't know if you're an NBA fan or not, but I've always said about Sean McDermott that he is the Mark Jackson of the NFL. Mark Jackson coached the Warriors for a few years, helped them go from the drubs of the NBA, no one respects them, garbage organization, to, hey, they're respectable. Hey, they're winning playoff series, but can never quite get them to the next level. You bring in Steve Kerr, and now you become a dynasty. I feel like Buffalo needs that type of coach to get them to the next level, not just to upgrade the defense, to give the defense more consistency because they've averaged more points per game in the playoffs than they have in the regular season, but to help Josh Allen. I mean, we're 8 years in, but help Josh Allen reduce the mistakes. Your initial reaction to the McDermott news, and also who would you like them to bring in? Because Dable, Brady are options potentially.
Yeah, I don't watch much basketball, but from what I do understand about Steve Kerr, he's had a really successful coaching career. And the thing about the market right now is last year was probably the time to make the move off the head coach and go after a guy like Liam Cohen or Ben Johnson, even Vrabel, who went to New England. Right now, it's not that the market is all that bad, but there are like 10 head coach openings. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure Buffalo is super appealing with Josh Allen and the way we've succeeded, but I just don't see a coach out there right now, unfortunately. And this is where, like, it's just odd to make this decision at this point, but I know it was necessary. Like, I'm kind of torn in two directions right now. Yeah, I'm sure Dable's the front runner and he would fit well and he would do good things for our offense, right? But at the end of the day, it is also going to be on the players. Like, this playoff loss wasn't on McDermott, and it's ironic that the year I thought his defense actually performed up to standard, all things considered with the injuries, that they moved off him. And everyone's talking about, oh, the locker room vibes, oh, this, oh, that. Like, everyone loves him. Like, sure, I'm sure that's the case, but like, professional sports don't care about the feelings, and the facts are the facts. And at the end of the day, it's a results-based league. I said this on my show today. It is a results-based league. And if you don't win with a top 5 quarterback for almost a decade, they're going to make a decision to move off you. Like, it just is what it is. You've had a decade of opportunities. I would understand if it's year 5 or year 6 with McDermott, but this is year 8 or year 9, like you just said, right? So the odd thing to me is the fact that we held on to Brandon Beede and, matter of fact, like, promoted him. I don't really understand
That was weird.
I don't understand how we even promoted him because I just assumed that he was in charge of the head coach hirings too, and he would played a role in that, but I guess he didn't, or now he's completely in control, whatever that is. The thing is, and I assume this is the case, the organization clearly saw two different minds, completely different minds, because if you're keeping Brandon Beane and you're firing McDermott, you're pretty much saying, we trust Brandon Beane to draft, but he's been somewhat hindered or held back by the outline that Sean McDermott has laid out for some reason. Because otherwise, like, I thought Beane would be the first to go and then McDermott, right? I thought it was kind of a double package. So listen, like, Beane has not been a very good drafting GM. He has not been out there making crazy moves. He's been very conservative, which I do not like. I don't think you win football games. I don't think you win championships conservative. So that was the odd thing to me. It'll be interesting how he drafts this year and how he works with his next head coach. But as to your point and as to your question, I think Dable is the front runner right now. But again, I have a feeling we're going to be betting on someone who's a little bit more inexperienced. If it's not Dable, I've heard Kubiak's name flown around. There are a few names out there, but nothing that I'm just like freaking out about.
Do you think there's an internal promotion, in-house promotion with Brady? Do you think that's on the board? Because I know he's gotten some looks at potential head coach openings.
I hope not. I hope not. I don't think I would love an experienced head coach. I would love a guy to come in and knows what he's doing, because to go backwards now, and unless it's like a Ben Johnson where you're like slam dunk, phenomenal play caller. He came from the Dan Campbell tree, who obviously runs a great program over in Detroit. Joe Brady, an in-house hire, it's like, I don't know, like what's going to change? Like the play calling's been good. I thought it was good throughout the playoffs, but there have been points too that I've criticized Brady. And ultimately what it comes down to is our drafting. Whether or not we get an experienced head coach or not, or somebody that knows what he's doing, Josh Allen will always win us games. We will always be a good team, regardless of the mood in the locker room. I don't care at the end of the day. Like I would love a great head coach, but the reality is Josh Allen will always be there. He'll always get us to the playoffs. What I need is a few more playmakers, because it's going to come down to the players. And I would love a difference maker out off the edge, rushing the quarterback. I love Joey Bosa, but he's just like not a needle mover to me. I would love us to hit on some draft picks here. I'd love us to get a number one receiver. Although I thought Brandon Cooks was great this year. Keon Coleman has just been a complete bust, just an embarrassment to this franchise. So I think it starts with up top and drafting and free agency and making some splash moves, because that's how we're going to win, right? And as far as like internal promotion goes, like we could, but I just don't see them promoting Brady. Like I just don't think he's ready, to be honest with you. He hasn't shown me anything like excellent. He's just been an average play caller for the most part, besides like the one or two hook and laterals he runs per year, which happen to work and are pretty phenomenal. I won't lie to you.
Yeah, I think Ben Johnson changed the game in that regard. But to your point, and we can show the graphic, like this is Buffalo's achieved pretty badly since 2020. They're first in points allowed, first in records since 2020, and obviously they have never been to a Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl in that regard. Johnny Vagianos is joining the show. Got a few comments here by Patrick and someone else. He says, don't let AJ be traded to New England. If that were to occur, another missed opportunity, and that could come back to bite Buffalo. And he said that that's just what the doctor orders for Buffalo. Is that something that you would be open to? Do you think a fresh start for AJ Brown would help the Bills in any regard?
I mean, I have obviously some concerns about AJ Brown. He's a phenomenal player, but everywhere he goes, it seems like there's an issue. But he would be a huge improvement to this offense. Like I'm not denying that. From a football perspective, it's great. I do think there are going to be some serious looks in New England at AJ Brown, and I think that is the landing spot for him, just because he has the Mike Vrabel connection, and I believe he grew up a Patriots fan. I think I saw a video of him like freaking out over a Brady jersey or a Drake May jersey. So to me, that makes the most sense. I mean, we saw our organization move off Stephon Diggs pretty much because he was just fed up and there were diva issues there. So I guess we could go after AJ Brown, but man, I don't know. Honestly, I've been kind of directionless for a few days now. I have to collect my thoughts. There's been so much going on with McDermott getting fired now and being promoted. So there will be a lot of looks at AJ Brown, and you never really know what's happening in Philly. The media is very cryptic about that organization and that roster. So I do think he ends up in New England, though. Like I feel like that is the destination for him, and that will just ultimately hurt us. But nothing new, man. Like this is just reality as a Bills fan.
Yeah, you guys are used to the hurt, which I empathize with. So let's go to the other side with Denver. So the Bo Nix injury, which I think shocked, I think everyone had the same reaction to, is like, well, we didn't see him go down. He broke his ankle. He's done for the playoffs. So it's going to be Jarrett Stidham against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. And Sean Payton, to his credit, he was endorsed as quarterback. He's all in. Do you see? This sounds like a disrespectful question for the 1 seed, but do you see any path to the Broncos winning this game other than just a self-implosion by the Patriots next week?
Sure, of course I do. It's the playoffs, man. Anything can happen. Now, the odds the Broncos win this game, probably 25%. The Patriots are right now the better team just because Bo Nix is not playing in this game. But the Patriots haven't looked like this juggernaut team. Like they've given teams opportunities to win the game. They just played the Chargers, and then they played the Texans last week. Both offenses just couldn't do anything, and that's credit to the great defense that they played too. The thing with the quarterback situation in Denver, Sean Payton is one of the best head coaches, play callers in the league when you are just initially starting with the quarterback or when you need a basic game plan laid out. And that's not to say that he can't do it at a higher level. he absolutely can, but he specializes, in my opinion, in getting your quarterback going. And he went after Bo Nix, and what he did year one is he just slowed things down, and they threw a crap ton of screen passes and kept it very simple, short intermediate routes, nothing too crazy, and they got him comfortable. And by the end of the year, he started looking like a starting quarterback in the league and somebody that could make plays. And once he got more comfortable in the system, he looked better and better. Now, this year starts a little slower, but by the end of the year, you saw things wrapping up, and it was very impressive what they did against that Buffalo defense. I thought Bo Nix looked great. Now you're starting in an AFC Conference Championship game. That is very difficult to do. I saw Nick Foles go out and tweet about it. Nick Foles had like 4 regular season games to play before he hit the playoffs. This is a very different situation. But if there was a coach or a few coaches I would trust, Sean Payton would be in the mix. And all I anticipate is the short passes. They do well in the screen game. I expect that to be a crucial part of the offense and the game plan going forward. And I believe J.K. Dobbins is back. I haven't necessarily looked at that injury report, but I heard some rumors.
If he was RJ Harvey, yeah, I think RJ Harvey is going to be back, yeah.
Yeah, like if the run game is all right, I believe they'll probably lean on it for like 30 carries during the day. Like they just have to with Stidham back there. And it's going to be short routes. Like it's going to be a boring offense. But with that, you open up the door for maybe a double move in the third quarter. You hit them deep, you score, and your defense stands strong. The only thing about Denver is like this defense is supposed to be phenomenal, but last week I was kind of surprised. I haven't really like honed in on that defense this year, but to end the year, from what I understand, they just haven't been as good as maybe people thought they were. Like I thought they were in like the elite tier, but it was a lot of like bend don't break against the Buffalo Bills. And yeah, they forced a bunch of turnovers, but those are self-inflicted wounds on us for the most part, just bad decisions by Josh Allen. So I think the defense just has to play lights out. Like that is what it is. You got to put pressure on the QB. Drake May hasn't been his MVP self, I'll say, in the playoffs, but he's gotten it done, and he's done enough when it's mattered. So there is definitely an opportunity to win this game. I just think it's unlikely, obviously, without your starting quarterback.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. You kind of took the words out of my mouth with the Broncos, is that of the 4 teams left, if there was one team that I think can make it work with a backup quarterback making his first start, Sean McVay would probably be the first pick, and then Sean Payton would be the second, just because offensive masterminds, quarterback whispers. And to your point, it probably will be a very boring game plan. This is going to be a ball control type of situation. This is going to be, let's possess the ball for 35, 36 minutes, maybe force a turnover, set up a short field, and play keep away, essentially, from Drake May and the Patriots. And also, this could be a double-edged sword. On one hand, yeah, Drake May hasn't had a great game yet, so maybe your defense can keep that trend up. On the other, the Patriots have won pretty comfortably in both their playoff games, and Drake May has not had a big game yet. So there's 2 different ways, glass half full, glass half empty, you could look at it. Got a comment here. The Denver defense would have to play like the Seahawks did against the 49ers to beat the Patriots on Sunday and run the ball effectively. It's going to be very much a meat and potatoes type of offense that we're going to see next week, but we'll see. So of the 4 teams left, Johnny, who would you say is like the, maybe not the clear favorite, but of the 4 left, you're like, yeah, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl?
I mean, I guess it's the Seahawks for me, but I just don't feel comfortable about any team. But ultimately, one of them has to win, right? And the Broncos, obviously, with no starting quarterback, it's an issue. Like, that's flagged immediately for me. It's going to be tough to win 2 games. So, in my opinion, it's probably the Patriots in the Super Bowl we're seeing next week. And then you're picking between the Seahawks and the Rams. And yes, like the Seahawks have looked like the better team, but the Rams beat them the first time they saw them and probably should have handled them pretty easily the second time they saw them, had it not been for some crazy Shaheed return. But that is very likely at this point during the season, as he's had multiple of them. So if I were to pick, it's probably the Seahawks. They are the most complete team. They're the hottest team right now. I think they have the most momentum. The Rams have just been hanging on by a thread for game after game after game. And the Patriots, as good as they've been, I just don't feel like they've been ultimately challenged by a true contending team. But I also don't think there's been a juggernaut this year. So I would pick the Seahawks and the Patriots to be in this year's Super Bowl. And after that, I mean, it really depends how things look this week. You're going to have to force Sam Darnold, if you want Seattle to lose, to make plays. Like, that's what it is. You got to shut down the run game and ask Sam Darnold to do more than 17 pass attempts. He completed 12 passes, and they scored 41 points. So that's a testament to the run game with K9 and Charbonnet, the great defense, and honestly, the playmakers they got, not just on the offensive side of the ball, but like I said, Shaheed in the return game, JSN, obviously, Offensive Player of the Year season, and even Cooper Kupp as a number 3 is really solid, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he stepped up. Yeah, he did, and I think that's going to be, for Sam Darnold the last couple of years, we've done graphics on the show before, but he's been great against everybody except for the Rams. That's been his kryptonite. Obviously, the 5-interception game earlier this season, but that's kind of a glass half full moment for Seattle where Darnold threw 5 picks, and if our kicker hits a field goal from 60-something yards out, we upset them on the road, and then obviously the comeback win to get the 1 seed in the division. It's going to be a close game. I feel like this is the matchup the Seahawks probably wouldn't have wanted. The matchup the Rams do want just because of the revenge factor, familiarity, 2 excellent coaches. It's definitely fun. Before we get out of here, JV, tell the audience where they can find your show and check your stuff out.
Yes, sir, man. It is the JV Show on Instagram, the JV Show 1 on TikTok, and the Real JV Show on YouTube. I apologize. I think somebody stole my username, so I had to mix it up a little bit there. But anywhere you can find me, any social media platforms beside Twitter, I can't handle it. But everything else, you got me there. The JV Show, you should find me there. I appreciate you having me on, Bryson.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for coming on, and you're free to come on anytime in the future, my man.
My pleasure, dog.
Yes, sir. Johnny Vagianos, great stuff as always. Yeah, definitely check out his content. He does amazing. He does like post-game reaction shows, reaction videos to these playoff games. So definitely you'll expect some stuff after the 2 playoff games next week. Really cool dude. Gotten the chance to know him over the last 10 days or so. Followed his content all season long. So really excited and appreciate him coming on this week. We're gonna take a 1-minute break, but when we come back, we've got a college football national championship that kicks off like the time we're doing the show live in like half hour. So let's predict that game after the 1-minute break on Carving Up Live. Don't go anywhere, folks. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. I appreciate everybody stopping by as always. Again, shout out to Johnny Vagianos who joined the show. Again, great content. He is, and I actually commented this on one of his recent IG videos because he's one of the few Bills fans out there that I've seen be like, don't get mad at the refs when we turn the ball over 5 times, guys. Like this one falls on us. And it's from that mindset that you do fire Sean McDermott because it's like it feels like you kind of invent ways to lose each and every year. The 13-second game against Kansas City. Josh getting the ball in his hands twice back-to-back years against the Chiefs, down 3, chance to tie or win the game, 0 for both times. And in this case, the missed throw at the end of the 4th quarter, all those turnovers would have been forgiven if he hits that at the end of the 4th quarter to win the game. But alas, the Bills came up short once again. Before we get to my Indiana and Miami pick, I did want to say this, and please, everybody, feel free to check it out. I will go so far as to say, and I never say this on Carving Up Live, ever, I would be fine if you left my show right now and check this out. This morning, or actually it was this afternoon, I put this on the YouTube channels from Friday's show. So there's been a lot of nostalgia and a lot of reminiscing over the year 2016. I'm sure you've seen it on social media, whether it was pictures, videos, trends, Vine videos. I don't even know if Vine was still around in 2016 or whatever the case may be. Just kind of romanticizing like, oh, those good times. I can't believe it's been a decade. So I decided to put my own little spin on Carving Up Live by ranking the top 10 moments. Go and put the thumbnail. The top 10 moments in the world of sports in 2016. That is a thumbnail. Feel free. It's on the Carving It Up YouTube channel. So if you're watching on the grid, head to the Carving It Up YouTube channel. It is on there right now. It's about 15 minutes long, ranking my top 10 moments from the world of sports in the year 2016. Please check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is definitely a video I'd like to try and get some engagement on, just from the perspective of reminiscing and going back to what was, I mean, the video's called 2016, the greatest year in sports history. And honestly, you can make a case it was. I mean, we had so many great comebacks. It was a pain. One of those comebacks was quite painful as a Warriors fan, as you all know. But record-breaking performances, Olympics, you had some legends walk away from their sports like Phelps, Peyton, Kobe. Like it was, please check out the video. It's on the YouTube channel right now. If you want to leave the show right now and watch it, I would not be offended whatsoever because we're trying to drive up engagement on that video. Secondly, before I get to my pick, feel free, if you haven't left yet, to check out our Carving It Up merchandise. Scan that QR code right there. It'll take you to the website. We got hats. We got t-shirts. We got hoodies. We got coffee mugs. We've got bags, the whole bit, jogging pants, jogging shorts, anything you can possibly imagine. It can be seasonal. It can be, it can be, dishes. It could be a coffee mug, whatever the case may be. Check it out on our Grid Network website. Scan that QR code right there. It will take you to the Carving It Up merch, but you can also check out our amazing merch at the Grid Network. You can get Grid merch, but you can also get stuff from the All Even Podcast, the Boston Sports Summit, Saturday Morning Tailgate, Boys in the Zone, Cowboys Can Fan, whatever you can possibly imagine. Mike and Josh. We've got some amazing podcasts, the Grid, so please check those out. Scan that QR code. It will take you to the Carving It Up merch, but you can also check out our incredible merch on the Grid Network. And once again, please check out the 2016 year recap. Again, a lot of 2016 nostalgia on social media, so figure might as well be a part of it. A year recap, 2016, the greatest year in sports history. That is currently on the Carving It Up YouTube channel right now, so please check that out. Before we get out of here, we got a national championship tonight between the Miami Hurricanes and the Indiana Hoosiers. A college football champion will be decided tonight. So, the Hoosiers are favored, -8.5. They've been the best team in college football all season long. The Miami Hurricanes, there were folks that didn't think they even deserved to be in the playoff, despite being undefeated against top 25 teams. But I digress. This is a team that went through Texas A&M, went on the road to do it in College Station. Beat the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes at the line of scrimmage, outplayed them from start to finish, and then won a classic college football playoff game at the Fiesta Bowl against the Ole Miss Rebels last week to put themselves in this spot. Indiana, the defending Big Ten champions, dominated Alabama in the Rose Bowl. Last week, against Oregon, dominated them in the Peach Bowl. Now, we find ourselves in a very strange predicament to where the Miami Hurricanes, the 10 seed, get a home playoff game just by virtue of, hey, college football playoff just so happened to, for 2026, schedule the national championship game to be played at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. So you got 10 seed versus 1 seed who hasn't lost, been undefeated, been the best team in college football, and the game's in Miami. So that will provide some advantage for the Hurricanes. No question about that. Both of these defenses, you can make a case these are the two best defenses in college football. You really can. A lot of NFL players on both sides. What you cannot make a case about is the gap in quarterback. When it comes to Carson Beck and Fernando Mendoza, that goes without saying. I think this Indiana defense, if they made Dante Moore's life a living hell, imagine what they're going to do to Carson Beck. So I got the Hoosiers. I don't even know if I did that right. Sorry, Indiana fans. 31-13. They dominate this game, kind of gradually pull away as the evening progresses. Indiana wins the national championship game, their first in program history, 31-13 over the Miami Hurricanes. They finished 16-0, which would have been unthinkable for the new college football landscape, be it with NIL, transfer portal, conference realignment, 12-team playoff. How much this sport has changed, and you still went unbeaten? That would be impressive. Fernando Mendoza goes out on top, cursing that he completes what is the greatest rebuild maybe in college football history. Indiana gets it done tonight. Hoosiers win the national championship for the first time in program history. That's what I think is going to happen. And with that, that is all the time we have for today's show. Appreciate everybody stopping by. As always, be sure to catch Carving Up Live on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, right here on YouTube, as well as on Twitch, X, Facebook, and on Instagram. Another thanks to Johnny Vagianos for joining the show. You can check out his podcast, or his YouTube show, The JV Show, YouTube, IG, TikTok. Check him out. Great football content. I highly recommend him. Good dude. Does some great coverage of the NFL each and every day on his show. So we appreciate him stopping by and would love to have him on again. And so, yeah, Wednesday we'll have Carving Up the Context. We'll have a Bryson's Best 10, my top 10, not teams, because there's only 4 teams left. So we'll do top 10 players left in these playoffs among the 4 teams. Very excited to do that. Of course, we'll have reaction to Indiana, Miami. It's going to be a fun show. So stop by Carving Up Live on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And again, before you turn off YouTube, if that's where you're watching the show, check out 2016, the greatest year in sports history, that is currently on the Carving It Up YouTube channel now. We would greatly appreciate it. And let us know in the comments what you thought about the year in sports in 2016, because it was a classic. Have a great week, everybody. We will see y'all on Wednesday. Here's hoping for a great national championship game. Stay safe out there. God bless y'all. Peace out. Steelers, please hire an offensive coach. I'm begging you. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.